Sure.
Okay. Well, yes, as Nikki said, we're really, really appreciative of you for taking time out of your day and talking to us. We have a lot of customers in quite different industries, and what stood out to me the most about Resolve Marine is just how unique it is. I don't know if we have, Chad, you might know if we have any other customer quite like this. So I'm very excited to speak
No,
more
I
about
don't think so.
it. Great.
That's
Well,
that's
I
good.
would
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Well, I'd love to start off with what you do, Ethan. I saw that you're the workforce manager. I would just love a little bit about your background and how long you've been with the company and what you do kind of day to day.
So I started with the company back in 2019, but I started as a project coordinator, which is essentially doing logistics and travel for projects, but also for like the administration part of the company. I assumed the workforce manager role like in March, or just a couple, a few months ago, and it has been like a completely different thing. First of all, I didn't expect it would be this much work, but it's essentially just managing the workforce, the operational personnel that goes on field whenever we have a project. So I'm responsible for reaching out to all of our employees, freelance, subcontractors, full-time, part-time, and ensure that they're available if they don't have any availability, just to ensure that we mark it down and just keep track of where everyone is, what certificates and credentials they have, are they physically apto for the employment that we have planned for them. So I'm just responsible for that entire department, just ensuring that we have a workforce ready.
Cool. I can understand then why you probably are using a signer then. But before we get there, can you tell us more about Resolve Marine and what kind of makes you guys stand out from other companies?
So Resolve Marine was founded back in 1980s. It's a marine salvage company. The way that I like to describe it is, if it is in the ocean, we do it. So essentially, we do emergency responses, maritime projects, reef restoration, oil pollution containment, mitigation. So if it is in the ocean, we pretty much do it. Um, what makes a company stand out, I don't want to say the most because we have some competitor, but is how long it has been in the industry, and the fact that it's still family based. Like it's
Mm.
family owned. The family is very involved with the company, so it's not just someone from afar instructing us what to do. It's actually they're there with us on a daily basis. You know, fighting with us and getting contracts and meeting with clients and saying hi to the personnel. It's a very involved family, very involved company, and we have a really big outreach all over the world. We have work from New Zealand to Alaska to everywhere pretty much. Um, so I think that's what makes it stand out in comparison to many other competitors.
Yeah. When I was reading a bit about the backstory of this company, and yeah, I did read that it started out in the 80s. Now it's global, which you just said. So your team, like how many people do you work? Who's on your team? Are you working with the global team or just like an area, or how does that work for you?
Global. I work with the global team. Yes.
Wow. Okay, so that's a great question right there. Like when you're, scheduling out your people, how many people, how many people are out in the field? How many people are you scheduling out and tracking?
Uh, so it depends on the employment type. We categorize them by full time, which is the people obviously like as the name entails, full time employees. Then we have part time slash freelancer, who are the people who, whenever we don't have deployed on a project, they go make work, for someone else or to just stay at home or do something. And then we have the maritime salvage agreement. So it's just maybe like subcontractors that we bring to work on specific projects. We're talking about a workforce of a little bit over 300 people at any
Wow.
given time. Luckily, no all deployed at the same time because that would really just drive me crazy. But we try. We
Yeah.
have big projects sometimes that require 50 people on one project, and we might have 7 of those projects at any given time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a big workforce. It still feels like a small company because as a project coordinator, I was privileged enough, fortunate enough to go on projects and actually work with all these people like face to face. So I got to know all of them. So
Mm-hmm.
it feels like very small because I know everybody's name, first name, last name, birthday. It's like I know the information, what they do, but it's because of that little background that allowed me to get to meet them. That now I have that report where I can actually just call them like, hey, how you doing? Do you have any availability, or vice versa? They just reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking for work. Let me know when you have something. It's 300 of those, pretty much.
Awesome. Awesome. And I feel a little ignorant around this, but can you describe, you mentioned projects. Could you describe the type of work you do? I did a little bit of research in terms of what like marine salvage is, but and so yeah, could you just talk a little bit more about, I suppose, the projects and what kind of stuff you guys are deployed out into? Or
So
you
I'm
do?
just gonna talk about case studies in here about some of the projects that I
Cool.
have been in
Yeah.
specifically. Starting in 2019, one of my first big projects was a Coimbra. It was a fuel removal of Long Island in New York,
Mm-hmm.
and the technical part always skips my mind, but it was essentially just we have a group of team out there in the open seas extracting fuel of a vessel that sank, a World War II vessel that was sunk by the enemy, torpedoed down by the enemy. So this was like a wreck, like in the bottom of the ocean, and we just connecting hoses and sending divers and removing that fuel in there to mitigate the oil pollution in the area. Um, that was the first big project. Second big project that I had, the very first one that I had was Oasis of the Seas. At the moment, Oasis of the Seas was the biggest cruise ship in the world when it was built. While being in dry dock in Freeport, the dry dock collapsed, the crane fell over. So there was luckily no casualties at all. Everyone was, because it wasn't dry dock, so everyone was away at the moment. But we had to pretty much just cut, remove the crane, and patch it up and get it ready to sell so they could go to another dry dock to get the proper repairs. Um, that's the first two. We had a project, for instance, in Chile where a ship ran aground. Unfortunately, there was some life lost on that one, but we essentially had to send divers, mobilize emergency response. When we have an emergency response, is mobilize people within the hour. Like be at
Mm-hmm.
the airport, start hitting that way. When you go to the counter, wait 5 minutes, your ticket is gonna come. Like it's like really fast paced. And when
Wow.
we get down to Chile, is patch the, seal the water ingress, send divers, remove all the cargo, all the pollution, and we do that all over the world. And simultaneously, we might have projects. I mean, right now we have a project happening in Cape Town, South Africa. We have some projects happening um, in Indonesia. We have projects happening right here in Fort Lauderdale. A Bravo Reef restoration. So we do a little bit of everything. It's all over the world, and from uh, ships on fire, putting down the fires, marine firefighting. We also do that. Towing. As I said at the very beginning, if it's on the ocean, we pretty much do it.
Yeah, that's impressive. And it's also making me think about how challenging when you have to be kind of when you have to respond to things that are unexpected. I can only imagine what it's like to send your people out there and do this scheduling process or just to track your people, especially as a global team. So do you know what caused you guys to need some kind of uh, tech solution like a signer? What I know you just started in March, but do you know what the reason to bring something like us on board to help you guys do your job?
So the decision to bring a signer was before I took the position, but to my understanding and familiarization now with the program, I think it has to do with organization and integration. Um, we can all live off spreadsheets anymore. It's just not enough. We need some sort of program that allows us to see the data, understand the data, but also be able to integrate it with any other platforms that we might have on the field, while also giving our employees the tools to see that information themselves. Spreadsheet, there's so much that I can show you at any given time. We work in remote areas, so we needed something that can also be used while offline. So I think those are some of the key components that make the company move towards a sign-R, is because it's checked most of the boxes that we needed. And don't get me wrong, there's still some things that we are wanting. There's still some things that we need, because I mean, not every program is gonna check every box that we might need. And I'm, as a workforce manager, I'm very creative. I always want more. I want to be able to automate as much as possible. But the one thing that I have to do, is praise, assign our customer service team and chat. Whenever I have a question, I like to be hands-on. I like to do it myself. And if I'm like, hey, you know what, I cannot do this, let me just reach out and chat. I need help with this, or customer service. Normally, John is the one who responds. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing a signer go from a construction software into a marine software. Like, it's actually being tailored to what we actually need at any given time. And again, I'm just speaking from the workforce perspective. So
I love that. I feel like we do the calls that we've done recently with the CSM. There's usually always a shout out to the people, their CSM, and their support along the way. So we really love to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that it's working for you in this niche that you're in. I also wanted to ask about equipment, because the signer also helps like manage and track at least equipment usage. And the type of work you do, I mean, I guess that's my question. Are you the when you use a signer, are you also managing all the equipment and bringing that out to job sites as well, or where the projects are, or do you do stuff or just the workforce?
I only do the workforce. I know that Asana has equipment option. We're not using it yet. Right now, we have another program that we had just, invested some time implementing. The other thing is that I always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So we wanted to try a sign-R for the personnel first, because that's where our company was lacking the most, that organization and integration for personnel. And seeing how it goes, who knows, maybe like a couple of months, we're going to be able to also hold all of our equipment within a sign-R. But it's not my department, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that that's how they want to move forward. But I do like the fact that it allows us to do those two things, because as a project coordinator in the past, the first thing that we do on the invoice or billing sheet is personnel, our equipment, and then any other out-of-pocket expenses. So I know that our assets were always on top of, the first thing that we care the most is the safety and efficiency of those assets, like the personnel and also our equipment. So I'm glad to know that Asai now has the capability to host that, if we need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm just gonna take a look because Chad sent me through what features you're using, so I can understand that so you're using scheduling and I think so. This is a good question. I'm assuming that what your workers are qualified to do in terms of what projects you deploy them to is really important. So are you using a signer to kind of keep track of like the skill sets of your workforce as well?
Yes, we are.
Cool.
Um, so the first thing that we do is we have a project, what is needed. Normally divers or just like a regular, deckhands, who's available. That's the second step. And from the people who are available, who are the most qualified for this type of project. Some people excel at planned projects that we can sit down with the client and negotiate the contract back and forth before we actually mobilize people. Some people are better at, I need you at the airport right now. I need you to, work these hours. I need you to, be part. We call it the strike team. I need you to be part of the strike team and respond. And those type of people are the one that we want to always pick and say, hey, this person is available for this project. This person, has this type of skill or this certificate, which is the qualification that they might have. Uh, so we keep all that on a Sinar uh, connected to our database of using the company. I keep all of that, ensure that it's up to date and up to speed because I want to know if the project requires you to have the skill, the project requires you to have the start of qualification. I want to know who qualifies to have it. And for the future, if I see, when we have this type of project, and it has already happened, it's kind of like an internal case study that I'm having in my department. If I see that someone needs to have certain certificate, and we need, let's say, 10 divers with 10 different, I don't know, ADCIs specifically, or we only have 9, for the future project, I know that, hey, last project we were falling short, let's ensure that, everyone, we have, another pool of people. So I'm also using a Sinar to like a check and balance of where we are and where we need to be based on the project demands.
Cool. And I'm thinking about the challenges around the fact that you're responding a lot to things, you know what I mean? And if you have enough people and if they are available. So I guess that's my question, like what's really challenging about your job? And hopefully your signer's helping, but what are some challenges you're facing on
The
your daily?
challenge would not be with a Sinar, the challenge would be with the people themselves.
Yeah.
It's a matter of some of our employees, they also live very remote, so some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a challenge of, hey, I need your set of skills, and the next flight lives in 2 hours, but you live 3 hours away.
Yeah.
How can we work around? It's just a logistics of mobilizing and demobilizing personnel what makes it a challenge. But if we can plan ahead of time, then we know more or less what can happen. Maybe this person cannot go right now, but we can send someone in the meantime while this person gets in there. Okay, so in that case, I use a sign artist to determine who else has the same skills or similar skills, so that I can send in the meantime while the project manager gets there. Um, the other thing, for instance, one of the challenges, just because you are mobilized or allocated towards a project doesn't mean that you cannot go to another one. So let me see who is already allocated towards a project or towards a task. What are the tasks or what are the skills they have that they might, that we might rotate. And it's it's literally like a jigsaw puzzle. Like I look at it, I have this project. These are the people who fit the best. Okay, but this person might also fit this other project. So let me just move. It's just like literally just moving pieces around until they actually fit, without overworking our employees either. Which is, in my opinion, the most important part is I want to ensure that you work, but I want to ensure that you're not overworked. You know.
Are they typically on call, your workers, or like do they kind of have to be ready to
Our
go?
full-time employees are always on call. These are people who are
Yeah.
either at the office or ready to go at any given time. Our
Okay.
part-time slash freelancer employees, they're always on call in terms of if they are not working for us right now, they're still doing the same task just for maybe a different company or for themselves or like a smaller project. We're not the only ones out there, doing things in the ocean. Um, so we understand that some of these people might not be available for us because they're already working for another company. But I still reach out to them maybe on a weekly basis or at least on a monthly basis, especially if the birthdays, and let them know, hey, thinking of you, let me know when you're available. If you're available right now, we don't have anything, but this is what might be coming. Are you interested? If so, I'm going to allocate you a schedule into this project. So it's just a matter of communication. We just have to be in touch with everyone on a constant basis.
And do you guys are you using, and I could probably just look at the features that you're using, but do your workers, are they using the app? Are they able to kind of see like their jobs through the app, or how are you communicating with them? I guess is my question.
So we are, as again, back as a product coordinator, like I was technically on the receiving end of workforce, so I know what is it that the crew is expecting on the field. So I tested the app from the moment that I became workforce manager, all the way until last week when we actually rolled it out for everyone and say, this is what we're going to be using, this is the manuals. Let me know what question you have. So right now we are on a test, testing it on the field. As a
Awesome.
workforce, the most important thing to me is here's the location where you need to be. This is the task that you're going to be performing. This is the rest of your crew. These are all the documents that pertain or the forms that pertain to your project. If you have any questions, let me know. If you don't have connection, you can still fill out the forms offline. So they have everything, like every tool that I know for a fact that they need in terms of managing your personnel information is in there. If you get a new passport, you can upload it to the app. Like all that functionality, I know that it works because I tested out for all these months as if I were the one in the field. So now they're just testing out themselves. So far, nobody has come back with any questions, and they're using it. So I'm like, something must be working because no, I mean, when you have, it's a small crew, relatively small. We only have like less than 30 people on this project right now, like down the street. Um, and I know this crew very well. Whenever they have a question that, like, hey, it's not working, or I cannot sign in, or I cannot log in, that type of stuff, it's just a matter of like, I reset your password, go ahead. But no, nothing. So far, everything has been going like a little bit too well.
Too
I don't want
well.
to jinx it. And I'm like, what's wrong?
Cool. I'm really happy to hear that. And I also want to ask, when you came on board in this role in March and had to use a signer, what was it like for you to learn the platform?
I hated
Yeah.
it. Nobody likes change. So it was like
Uh-huh.
I'm a big Power App, Microsoft Power Apps and stuff. I was a big Power Apper, so everything that I needed to do, I would just like do it in there and not deal with it. So it took a good 2 or 3 weeks for me to say, there's no need to create something yourself anymore. Everything that you need is already here, and it happened. It was to the point where, oh, I can do this on the Power App, and then I was like, let me just ask Johnny, hey, can this be done? Yes, okay. Let me just delete. I don't need this anymore. So it took a little bit of reprogramming myself to the tools that you need have already been selected by the person that was before me and the people who were who decided to go on a sign on. The stuff that I don't see right away doesn't mean that it's not available. It's just a matter of working with the support team and making it work. One of the one of the things, for instance, is at the very beginning I noticed that a signer is really good for tracking personnel who are on the field. Once you're allocated towards a project or deploy, a signer tells you who's there. But I need to know who is at home. And I couldn't just allocate them at home because otherwise it would just show us they're busy or wouldn't be recommended on the schedule. So by working with Chad, he's like, oh, if you allocate it for a different date, you can still see for the rest of the week or the rest of the year or whatever time frame you want to see, and you can still see your person. Just ignore that first column. So I put all of my employees in 2022, and they still show, their availability. So whether they're available or not, or if they are on leave, all of that information is shows in there. So I know who's allocated towards the project, who's actually deployed in the project, who's at home, who's on leave. I got all that information. By just
Awesome.
5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, like building my own platform or my own like workaround would have been definitely not 5 minutes. Maybe five weeks to get it to work. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I know I'm the same person. Yeah, I sell this stuff, but I'm also the type to construction people who are usually more resistant to change. And I'm like, I don't want to do anything differently. I'm the same. So I totally understand. I feel like I relate with our customers in that way.
Like if it works, why change? Like and my stuff was working, but I'm like,
Yeah.
let me just try the platform that has everything. So so far so
Hmm.
good.
Good. Okay, let me see what I haven't touched on. We've definitely gone through a lot. Oh yeah, we wanted to chat a little bit about. Chad told us that you guys are using insights, so kind of analyzing your field data. Do you have a hand in that? And if so, how are you guys using it?
Ethan
That's
is
my favorite.
probably the best person I've ever witnessed at insights of our customers, just for that little lead in. So he's
Wow.
incredible. But yeah, sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
No, I appreciate it. I'm a perfectionist, so I want things to be the perfect colors and organization and showing information. So a Signar Insight gives me like literally just like a blank canvas for me to just do whatever I want, customize even the smaller details. So in terms of customization and personalization of the insight is in there. In terms of the data, I still struggle a little bit sometimes because I'm not a programmer. There's some stuff that you need to be able to understand in the code for like custom filters, stuff like that. So that still presents a little bit of a challenge. But whenever I have a doubt about it, hey, can you guys help me out with this? And within less than 10 minutes, everything is like set up and very well explained by your customers. Like, hey, this is what we did, step by step. This is what this means. And then I just copy and paste, or just modify it or change it and just do whatever I need to do. And from there, my insights. I mean, I'm very glad to hear what I said about the insight, but I'm very happy with it. I'm
Awesome.
really, really happy, and it's also like it shows that it doesn't have to end there. Like, I mean, I thought I was done with the inside like maybe like 2 months ago. Okay, my report looks perfect, and then every time that I look at it, because I like to see the data on the daily basis, and every week I have a schedule to go to the directors. So I want to ensure that it's like that it has no errors. God knows I'm gonna send something that is wrong, so I'm like making sure that the data is correct, rechecking every formula pretty much every day or every other day. And every time that I do that, I'm like, I can actually improve it this way, or I can actually add this, or I can change this color or this information. And I just keep adding and adding, and it has come to the point where I know I have one insight of workforce, which is the one that I go based off. And from there, I just transfer the data into another insight, and this is what this manager wants to see, or this is what this department wants to see. So it allows me to tailor the information depending on what that person, the recipient wants to look at, while making it make sense. It's not just drafting lines; it's just information that actually makes sense at any time. So insights, I'm like, that's my baby right there. You guys take that down, I'm gonna fight you.
Well, I'm glad. I'm so happy to hear that. And I also really want to know, what are you analyzing? What are you looking at? What do people want to see in terms of what you said you had to kind of share this data with some people? What are you looking at?
So me personally, I want to see the employee utilization. I want to know how long had you been on the field, on the project, what skills have been employed, because maybe you're a diver, but you were as a crane operator or vice versa, or any other combinations. I want to see what is the position that we employ the most in projects. I want to see who is the person that we normally mobilize the most, so that we can rotate those people, know we work them. We want to see the most requested position, where are the location of our projects, what type of projects we have the most, whether they are like actual projects or emergency responses. What of those two projects type of operation, which one is the one that normally requires more personnel? I just want to see everything. If it has people involved, I want to see what is it that they're doing, for how long, what they're responding to, what is the crew list information. I want to see what position we have. If you are a diver, what else can you do on the project? I just want to see all the information that is out there. I want to be able to see it in pretty colors.
I love that. That's great. And I'm also thinking, does it by looking at this data, like historical data, does it help you kind of understand where you need to hire if you need more people of a similar skill set?
Correct. I'm not only using it as historical data, I'm also using it as this is a prediction. The way that we work is, as I said, we have two types of operations. We have the emergency response, which is a ship run aground, mobilize personnel, but we also have the projects that might take even years to plan for, or normally we take like 3 weeks to like 2 months, to be able to mobilize our personnel. The moment that I know that something is happening, I go with my, with the tender, the bid team, commercial department, and say, how many people are you gonna need? Minimum of 10 people. I allocate those people in there. Even if they don't mobilize, even if the project is in 10 years, even if the project is like tomorrow, I want to see who we have, who qualifies, and what is, like, how, essentially I call that like a best/worst case scenario. How many projects can we handle at once? So I do play a lot with fake scenarios and saying, we have this many people allocated, we have this many people deployed, how many other projects can we actually afford? And to what point do we actually have to go outside of our workforce and hire subcontractors and third-party providers, to man our projects? So from there, I'm using the historical data from everything that's happening, that already happened, what is happening right now, but also what we know might happen. Right now we have a hurricane season, so I'm already thinking of, if we have the project that we have this summer is going to last 2 months, the project that we have September is going to last 1 month. How many other projects, can we actually afford going forward? Taking into consideration that half of our team has already been deployed, and some people might need vacation, some people, might be on leave, some people might be working for another company. Taking that into consideration, while also allowing personnel to rotate, because Sometimes we have to rotate people. Like, hey, you already work. Let's give a chance to this other pool of people who might need to be deployed as well. So I'm using all the data to pretty much predict. I call that predict. Is project, predict, and decide. And projecting what we have, and predicting what we need, and then deciding what we're sending and where.
That is such a great way to use data. You know what I mean? So I'm so happy to hear it, and I'm glad it's beneficial for you guys. I could see how that would be beneficial to any company juggling multiple projects, wanting to only agree to what they can do. And yeah, that's amazing. Good to hear. Okay, well, I think I just wanted to touch on, and you mentioned forms. Our customers love our custom forms. So I just wanted to ask, what kind of data are you collecting in the field through forms?
Uh, Another department, for instance, the shared resources department, we have cranes and we have heavy machinery that requires daily checklists. So they're using forms to keeping, saving all the data, making sure that they have like a very nice PDF or Word document, whatever format they want to, to extract the data from, but also to have a record at all times, ensuring that, hey, you missed this day, you have to do the checklist. So we're keeping track of all that information. From the workforce perspective, I'm using it right now for two things. One of them is crew request. So in the past, we would, hey, I need two divers, and that would get lost in an email or a message or a call. This way, it doesn't get lost. This way, I know that somebody's requesting personnel for a project and for what date. So I'm using the form for the employee or project managers to say, we need more divers, we need more riggers, we need a crane operator. This person is leaving, we need to replace them. So we use and tailoring all the forms for that for the crew request. Then the second one that I'm using is employee evaluation. We haven't started using it yet because we're going to be using it after this project. Normally, most companies, they do the evaluation for the employees twice a year or once a year. I like to do it after every project. I want to know how much my employees are growing, how much of, if the talent have gone up or have gone down, if they maybe excel at one thing over the other. I want to be able to see that information. So I'm using the employee evaluation after every project. The project manager or the person in charge is going to be going on the forms, filling that out. I get the information, and then this is outside of thinking outside of the box and a little bit out of the question. But with that record, with that number, because it's just 10 questions, with that score, I'm going to be starting saving that on the employee's profile and pulling that into an inside report that tells me this is the rate for your project. This is how efficient your project is. You have someone who is a 5, or you have someone who's a 1. The 1, hey, what is it that they need? Do they need to grow? Do we need to revise? I'm not in the business of firing people. I'm just in the business of like, maybe you maybe this is not the position for you, but what about this one? Because I hear that you didn't do so well on this project, but I hear that you do very well on this one, on this specific position. So I want to be able to maximize our employees' potential, and we keep tracking all of that through forms.
Awesome. It's so cool to hear all the different ways. I can see what Chad means now. You're collecting really interesting data to do so much more than a lot of than customers that I've read about. So that's awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I did want to ask, where are you based? Is there like a headquarters in the States, and where are you based?
We are based, and I'm based as well in the headquarters in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 30 minutes north of, well, without traffic, 30 minutes north of Miami. But we also have just as big of offices in Holland, South Africa, Singapore, Greece. We have like personnel in Argentina. We have personnel in Colombia, Brazil, Germany. We just opened a new facility in the Pacific Northwest, so all the way in like Washington / Seattle, that area. So we are pretty spread out, but I'm based in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. And then do you have any interesting projects that you can talk about that you're working on right now, or anything cool going on right now? And I mean, cool. I know you guys are rescuing people and like cleaning up oil spills, but anything, anything.
Right now, our most exciting in my opinion, the most exciting projects actually happen just around the corner is the installation of reef, like an artificial reef,
Cool.
and it's just like these beautiful concrete blocks that we, working with all the subcontractors and building them and deploying them, and just making like an artificial reef fly off the beach, to compensate for the sand movement and erosions and everything. Um, so I think that one is very, because it benefits everyone. It literally benefits everyone. Well, I hope so, but I hope it benefits everyone. Um, what other project do we have right now that I can talk of? We're chasing a lot of opportunities. We're chasing a lot of opportunities. But one of them that we have right now is in Europa. That one is in Cape Town, South Africa. And it was nothing more than just like a little incident that happened in one of the dry docks. This beautiful, kind of I call it super yacht, but it's not. It's just a motor yacht. It's just a big yacht that kind of like tilted and fell on the side. So we are just helping with the repairs and putting it back in place. And
Wow.
I don't know. It's just like we have all the small things, but nothing worth noting right now. But
Yeah.
in case of case studies, we have really interesting projects in the past. Um, we have ships that run aground in Sardinia, in Italy, and our employees spend the summer in there pretty much, 2 summers in there pretty much, just like cutting it off in beautiful blue waters to the point where you can actually see the ship like on the water. You can actually see it, how clear it was. I mean, I myself spent 5 months in Brazil, in Rio, for a project. So it's a beautiful industry. Um, I wish there weren't so many environmental accidents, but then I would be out of a job. But it still helps to see. It's actually kind of rewarding to see that a company, not just us, not just Resolve, all the companies as well, are working hard to ensure that the oil doesn't touch the water, or it doesn't reach an island or a settlement. So it is nice to see that there are companies out there who are trying to protect the environment.
Yeah, definitely. And that coral stuff is really cool as well that you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, even saving, I'm just imagining what a big yacht looks like when it's kind of capsizing or turned on.
I We have sorry, I'm not on social media, but we have an Instagram account for the company, which
Okay,
I think is just Resolve Marine. If you go, you can see some of our projects.
cool.
The issue is that we are ready to share with the world what we do. It's just our clients sometimes they want some reservation because of legal, litigations in cases. But if you go on our website or if you go, resolvemarine.com, you can see some of our projects that we have done, and
Cool.
it's impressive. It is
Yeah.
actually impressive. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. You gave us so much really cool information, and it was such a pleasure to learn more about uh, Resolve Marine and what you guys are doing and what your day to day looks like. It's been so informative for me, and then also in terms of how our technology could help some business like yours. So that's all from me. Nikki, Chad.
You looking for work?
Careful.
All
They're
right.
gonna steal you away from us.
Really? Which one? No, 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 sir. No, we didn't have anything to do with that. We always, Whenever there's an incident, I see we do offer our assistance or help. I mean, side note, for instance, Cuba had a big fire in one of the oil terminals. We are like right there. The Senkoba, we could have helped. Normally, because of all the political situation between the U.S. and Cuba, um, we were not ready to we cannot just like take our post there and help, right? But we did whatever we could to make everybody know that hey, we are willing to help. So that's what we do with pretty much every maritime emergency. Even if you don't need us right now, just know that we are here to help. Whatever incident you need, we are willing to help and work with whoever we need to work with just to ensure that no lives are lost or no pollution is spread. So yeah, we have nothing to do with that one, but I'm pretty sure our commercial department reach out to someone to say, hey, if you guys need something, we are here. Okay, we're good. Okay. All right, sounds good. Moving forward. I love podcasts.
No, I think we're good. Thanks a lot, Ethan. I really appreciate you jumping on with Nikki and Aaron for it. And I do want to send you a little thank you gift. I don't want to put you on the spot right now, but I can send you a bottle of liquor or I can send you some lunch. But I'd really like to show our appreciation for you jumping on with us. So
I'll take
anything you want. Oh, you will? Okay, I had a feeling. But yeah, I'll shoot you over a gift either today or on Monday. So we really appreciate it. So.
Thank you guys. Thank you. I mean, on behalf of yourself, I know the company. I can speak for the company. We say we are happy. We are actually very happy that Asana has been able to help, organize and integrate the workforce, forums. How the information is presented. It helps a lot. And then also thank you, Nick and Aaron, for making the questions easy. I was expecting a lot. I was expecting a lot harder than that. But I'm gonna keep putting out this email. I'll respond later. I'm like, okay, finally, let's get down. Let's get this over with. And I was expecting like an exam or something, but it was very nice. Thank you. Likewise. Much appreciated. Please make sure you make me sound smart. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.